Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today it's a little late in the day. Things have been crazy. There's a lot of things going on, both in and out of my control, and we're just soldiering on. But anyway, today's going to be one of the videos that is starting a lot of projects that I'm going to be doing. The nights are starting to get colder, it's well into autumn, and it's time to start doing some fall cleanup chores and some chores that will close down my garden for the year. It's been a wonderful year. We've grown a lot of great stuff, preserved a lot of the harvest, but I have a large list, and let me show you what the first thing is on my list. Now this is my deck. Things are a bit of a mess and are not looking their best. This is my green stock, and if you'll notice, the flowers are looking really wilted. The plants are looking really wilted, and the reason is I quit watering them. One of the things on my list is to clear out the plants on the green stalks. But that's not what we're going to do today. And if you've seen my other videos, you'll notice a few things missing up here on my deck. A couple of them are here on my table, and that's going to be part of today. We've got my ginger and we've got my turmeric, which I don't know if they're ready yet. They've been in their pots for a long time, and I've tried harvesting the ginger in the past, and the tubers just did not gain much size. Now, the chore for today is to move all of my indoor plants back into my grow room. And I think we're just going to harvest the ginger and the turmeric and see what they look like, and even if they're not big, we'll figure out a way to start next year. But let me show you where the rest of the plants are. Now, here are some fruit trees that I grow indoors over the winter. Today is, I think, the end of the first week in October. I think it's October 6th. This is my avocado tree that's been growing outside. It has not gotten a lot of good growth. It's not dead and it looks healthy, so I'm going to continue to try to grow it. So that's going inside. I'll link some videos at the top of this plant. This is my red roselle. Now, this is a plant that was from a cutting from one of my plants last year. I grew it inside all winter and got a lot of flowers. I haven't seen any buds on this one yet, but I did tip the ends because it was huge and out of control. And we're going to try growing it inside and see if we can harvest more flowers. But let me show you one that does have buds on it that may or may not have time to flower. Now this year has been a really warm fall. It stayed in the 70s, the nights have stayed in the 50s, but it's starting to cool down into the 40s. Normally by this time of year we've had our first frost, and probably even two of them, which does not give these roselle plants time enough to really actually flower. The flower buds are triggered by length of day. So maybe this cute little bud will have time to flower, but I don't know. I looked at the 10-day forecast and everything is still staying in the mid-40s at night and in the 70s during the day. Maybe we'll get lucky. There's quite a few different flower buds. We have a couple of more roselle plants here in the back. Right here, where you see the red, it's having a hard time focusing again, but there's the start of some flower buds on this one too. Yeah, there's some little tiny flower buds here. And I think we're getting flower buds right here. Yeah, we're getting flower buds right here. And as I said, I don't know if these are going to actually have a chance to flower before the first frost, because the least little hint of frost will actually kill these. So this roselle plant is going to go inside under lights. We've also got my dwarf Owari Satsuma Mandarin Orange, and this one is going to go inside. We got quite a bit of good new growth on it over the summer. It's still a puny little tree, and I think the problem is the soil. When I repot them next spring, I'll go over what soil I used in the past, and I'm doing some more research so that hopefully the soil in the pots are a little healthier for the plants and they won't struggle as much. They haven't died, but they do take a lot of fertilizer so that they don't turn horrible colors. Now, as I've said, these plants have been outside all summer long, and there's a possibility they've collected some bugs, and I do not want to bring bugs inside and introduce them to the rest of my plants. So we're going to take some steps to avoid that problem. Now, the first step I've already done. I took my hose and I hosed these off last night and let them dry overnight. So right now what we're going to do is spray them with some insecticidal soap, and let me show you what that looks like. So this is some insecticidal soap. It's an organic method of controlling pests. It's also good for edibles. And what it basically does is it will smother insects and their eggs and hopefully kill them. So we're going to spray each of the plants that we're going to put inside, and we're going to make sure that the spray covers all the leaf surfaces. I'm going to demonstrate on another plant that I'm going to take indoors, and that's this one right behind me. This is a pepper plant. This is my very first attempt at overwintering pepper plants. This is an Antohi that was in my garden bed. What I did is I dug it up, I cut it back, stuck it in this 2-gallon pot, and I've been watering it and keeping it really cool. You know, I haven't let it stay out in the heat of the sun, and I wanted to show you something. It's been working. If you can see, we've got nice little bud, we've got nice green growth starting up here, and we've actually, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but we've got buds starting for new little peppers. Now, I wanted to spray this really carefully, make sure that I don't take any bugs inside, so let me show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to take our insecticidal soap, make sure that it's on spray so we get good coverage, and we're just going to spray everything until it's dripping wet. We're going to spray all the tops of the leaves, and then we're going to make sure we get the bottoms and in all the cracks. Make sure we don't break anything here. There's our plant, dripping wet, and before I take it inside, I'm going to let it dry off a little bit. We're going to give it some good fertilizer, and then hopefully it will continue to grow. Now, the reason I am taking these plants in right now rather than waiting until the weather gets cooler is the room in the house that I'm going to take it into is about the same temperature during the daytime as it is outside. So it stays in the mid to upper 70s during the day, and hopefully that's going to help avoid a little bit of transplant shock. So let's get going on the rest of these trees. Now, these are going to take a while to finish because I want to make sure I get in every crack and crevice. I don't want to bring whiteflies, I don't want to bring aphids, don't want to bring thrips, any of those nasties. We'll probably end up bringing in a bit of fungus gnats, but I'm going to use a mixture of mosquito bits and water to combat those. And then once the plants are inside, we're going to watch them very, very carefully for any signs of bugs, and we will spray them while they're inside also. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is add some fertilizer. Now, I've experimented with quite a bit of fertilizers indoors, and I've come up with some that really actually work well. Now, I have definitely tried the organic fertilizers, but from what I found, especially in my citrus pots, there's definitely not enough compost and the fine materials to break those fertilizers down. Now, they actually just have not worked at all. So what I've been using instead is I really actually love Osmocote. I use it on all of my vegetables, I use it on my fruit trees, but I don't use this alone. I do also, every couple of weeks or so, or when the plants look like they need it, will top it up with some liquid fertilizer. And I don't use the organic fertilizer because most of the organic fertilizers smell like fish, and this is inside my house, and I do care what the house smells like. So I will, when it comes time to fertilize with the liquid fertilizer, I will show you what that looks like. But today we're going to be adding Osmocote. We're not going to water it in because I've already watered the plants really deeply. I flushed out the pots really heavily with a lot of water so that we could wash out some of the salts last night. And I don't want to add any more water right now. We're just going to give them a chance to get settled in and dry out a little bit before I water them indoors. But we will be adding this Osmocote, so let's add some of that. I'm going to put a good sprinkle around the base of each plant. Mix it into the soil just a little bit, and then it's good to go. Osmocote is also a fertilizer that is slow acting. So what these little granules do is they dissolve slowly and release fertilizer every time you water. And now the fertilizing is done. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to top off the tops with some bark fines for mulch. Now I have not mulched my indoor plants in the past, but I'm going to try it over the winter this winter and see how well it works. So these are the bark fines I'm going to use. We got these at Home Depot, and we'll see how good they do. Now even add it around the pepper plant here. Now I'll move them inside and get back with you and give you a little tour of what my grow room looks like so far this year. Well, I was able to get everything moved into my grow room and placed just where I want it, and my battery is just about ready to die. So before the battery dies, I wanted to give you a quick update tour of my grow room, show you where I put everything, and talk to you a little bit about some of the projects I'm going to be doing over the winter. And I'm really excited for some of these. So let's show you what I'm going to be doing. Now, sorry for the weird lighting. I didn't want to turn off all the lights, so sometimes it causes striping with the video. But it's changed a little bit since last year. I've added an extra grow rack or two. So this one right here is a new grow rack. I wanted something a lot taller so I could grow taller plants. I'm going to grow some taller tomatoes in there and try out some cucumbers. We're also going to grow peppers. And there's a tree seedling pot. I'm going to start some tree seedlings and possibly even some fig cuttings in here and see how they do. Over here, we have another new rack, and on the top I have my old Fairy Morris lights. And this is just an area where I can start seeds. It fits about 3 grow trays, so it fits quite a bit of plants. Down here, it got dark outside and we didn't have a chance to harvest the turmeric and the ginger. And I'm going to see how it does right here. The turmeric and ginger tends to burn if it gets too much light. And these lights right here that I'm using for the roselle, which is in the very back, so it has room to grow. These grow lights are really high-powered lights, and I'm just hoping they don't burn those. But we'll probably do a harvest video here shortly on those. The rest of my lights are basically just the Walmart Honeywell Bluetooth lights. They've worked beautifully. They've worked well enough for my succulents. The light up here is too bright for some of them. Sorry for that striped effect. Maybe I can turn off this side. There, it's a little dark, but at least we don't get the striped effect. But we've got some different succulents that we'll go over in another video that tend to darken a lot if they get too much light. So this was too much light. This seems to be just the right amount of light. Down here is where I put my pepper. I'm going to be moving it over to this area once I get all my other seedlings started, and that's going to be another video. But we've got kale, we've got chijimisai, Swiss chard. We've got a lot of different things growing in here that are ready, that I've actually been harvesting off of, that are doing quite well. Now I use trays, I bottom water everything, and I fertilize every couple of weeks when the plants look like they start needing it with a liquid fertilizer. Let me show you the liquid fertilizer that I use. It's Maxi Bloom and Maxi Grow, and I use a combination of those. I mix these two together. They do well for hydroponics, and they've also done really, really well for my veggies and my trees. And then just for the citrus, I'll use some Cal Mag every once in a while. When they start to yellow, it's usually because they need the calcium, I guess. I really don't understand that because our water is very alkaline and has a lot of calcium in it, but they tend to do better with this. And I use this probably about once a month. This is where my monster of an aloe vera plant went. It probably needs to be divided, but I just didn't have the time to do it this year. So it's just going to grow right here over the winter, and then I'll divide it in the spring. These are my house plants that are left over from a video that I'll link above. They're doing quite well, but houseplants just don't excite me. They need to have something else, that extra little wow. Like the succulents, I love. Vegetables and flowers and herbs and stuff like that you can eat. You know, I like more fun things to grow. Over here is where I do a lot of seed starting. This is where I start the majority of my seeds. And this plant is going to be moved, you know, once I get the hydroponics started, I'm going to move this little citrus plant, and we'll have another video on it. This is a Australian bloodline, and we've actually got a little flower bud on it. If you can see it right there, it's that little purple thing. That's going to go up there, and it'll get the extra light from the hydroponics unit. But right now, just so that it gets enough light, it's going to go down here. But this is going to be the area where I grow my dwarf tomatoes. So that was a quick update of my grow room, and I have a lot of projects coming up that I want to take you along with. We're going to see how much time I have to do for each video. I'm still going to try to do 3 a week. We've got some extra things going on that might possibly limit my ability to do some videos. But there's a lot of exciting fall projects that we're going to do that I'm hoping to take you along with, and I hope you look for those videos. Now, if my videos have been helpful to you, I hope you like, subscribe, share them with your friends, peruse some of my playlists, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.